Hi, I'm David.
Hi, I'm John.
Hi, I'm Hank.
Hi, I'm Sunny.
Welcome to the KRONOS Festival.
I was telling you before how when I was making radio pieces that I was the best person that I could be on the radio. And you had told me that you had a similar experience when you were playing.
When I am playing with David, John, and Hank, I often find that that is absolutely the best version of myself that I want to be when I'm out of the music rehearsal, because I find myself to be most generous version of myself. I listen well, and when four of us have a really, really good rehearsal, it's so diplomatic, and we all listen. We are all teachers and students. We have to be objective when we give comments or receive comments. And I often think the string quartet, when the dynamic is really good, that's how I envision a perfect world to be, how people's relationship with each other like that. If I were to play a phrase or try to convey an idea, maybe it's okay by myself, but then when I get that energy and ideas from Hank and John and David, it just becomes so much more powerful that I could have, to a level where I could have not achieved by myself.
Tell me about your life, your early life.
My family immigrated to South Africa when I was 11 years old.
Tell me what it was like to live there. What were the sounds that helped form you as a person?
Every morning I would wake up with this incredible chorus of birds that back then I thought, oh gosh, that's my alarm clock. You know, but you feel so connected to the earth. The thunderstorms there during the summers, it shatters the earth. You feel the vibration, and there's certain rhythm of life that people have there, at least not in the cities, but in the countryside. I guess one could say it's a much slower pace of life. We're more in the moment, and there's this community of people that really help each other out that I miss.
You had encountered KRONOS before.
Yes. So when I was studying in Interlaken, they came to our school to perform. And I don't remember any specific pieces they've played, but I remember leaving the concert with this elevated feeling that anything is possible if I wanted to, that one can achieve so much through music. It didn't have to be a certain style.
I'm sure you'd been to a lot of wonderful concerts that you floated out of and felt elevated by.
You know, I'm trying to remember all the concerts that I attended till when I heard the KRONOS Quartet, and surprisingly, they were all very similar, meaning they were classical, they were probably composers by a handful of people I knew, and they were very traditional way of programming. So there were certain sound world that I expected that were possible from playing the cello. But then they came and they shattered every idea or a preconceived idea I had of what a concert is, meaning they made the cello sound like something else, violin sound like something else. I left the concert feeling through cello I can achieve a lot more, not just this set of ideas and sounds that I thought were possible. And that is such an invaluable lesson, I think, what can give to, especially to a young student.
It seems like a lesson for life too.
Yeah.
You know, you don't really know what's possible. Could you talk to me about a piece that spoke to you in in a particular way that really grabbed you?
Sure. Since we've been talking a bit about my background living in South Africa, I'd like to talk about Awa. It's clapping songs, and she's this wonderful singer from Mali, and she wrote these 4 songs based on tradition in Mali where they teach young girls songs with incorporating clapping. And that really spoke to me because that's how...
Clapping like rhythm, like castanets?
Kind of with the pulse, nothing fancy, bam, dan, or da, dan, dam, but you just kind of keep up the pulse of the piece. And you know, when you watch these girls sing and clapping, they're always moving. There's never a stillness in them, which is absolutely natural. But that's how I learned music in my childhood, is through clapping, dancing, and it was just part of daily play dates, you know, playing with my friends and playing games and singing.
What was your impression of the composer?
Actually, there's a funny story about that. Where we were recording in Switzerland for the album with the trio Da Kali, and this is a wonderful way of looking into how they have different sense of time and how they're so much in the moment. Every take they would sing and they say, they would play and they say, oh, that was perfect. I mean, for them, having to take to another performance to make it better, it wasn't really a thing. And that they would sing or perform and they would lie down and nap or go for a walk. And we would have to wake them gently. It's like, hey, you ready for another take? Like, sure. And they would perform again, and it was perfect again.
It's the difference between putting the emphasis on experience, the experience, and putting the emphasis on the product, the production.
Yeah.
I guess they weighed those differently than we tend to.
Yeah.
Back when I was in elementary school, back in those days, there were music classes. They could afford them, and they had you pick an instrument, and I picked the viola. It wasn't until decades later when I met the quartet, I realized that there are 1,000 viola jokes.
What's the difference between a viola and a violin?
What?
The viola burns longer.
Oh, God. I actually love the pieces when you have solos. I think it's because I do love the sound. I still love the sound of the viola.
Well, I think also the viola has not been overused in traditional quartet music, and so it's kind of a new voice that is perhaps better suited for the new composers. They highlight
so there is
it better.
more.
Yeah.
You really are interested in singers, right?
Very much so. There is a correlation between the string instrument and the voice. You know, there is, you look at the bow, it could be the breath that is there, and the line. And on this particular festival, we have wonderful singers. Masa Badat is an incredible singer.
That's a debut.
Yes, this is a premiere.
Tell me about this piece.
Well, it is a beautiful piece. The nuance of what she has and how she sings is so emotional. It's just beautiful, and I love that aspect of it. There is a lament in it, or a cry in her voice that is so visceral that you're just drawn to it. We did this during the pandemic, so we had her track that we played to. And so, of course, that was so inspirational, you know, to be able to hear and to play with her. And to me, it's very moving to see how she colors the pitches with her nuance and her slides, and it's just beautiful singing, really beautiful, very emotional.
And you mentioned the world music emphasis, and that's so important, simply to bring the voices of people you don't know or only know as stereotypes, and to experience their music is to experience their emotion and the texture of their lives.
Exactly. I think that's wonderful. I find that the music can actually make the world smaller rather than larger, and I think
In a good way.
Yes, exactly. I mean,
Less distance between us.
Exactly.
The pandemic posed a challenge in ensuring that the goals of the quartet were met.
We're an ensemble that wants to make a difference through music, make people aware of social issues, to help people gain a new perspective on their life. I think music and art can be a catalyst for change. Terry Riley, our good friend, wrote a piece called Sun Rings, and we play a movement of that called One Earth, One People, One Love. Mm-hmm. And this was inspired by the events that happened on 9/11. And he felt that the nation, the people needed to heal. And by putting it in the festival, I feel like it again is addressing the people that we need to heal, because we've had such a horrible, horrible year. And we've lost so many people. It's tragic. And perhaps this is a prayer or a memorial for those people. There is also another piece on the program which I feel has that status, and that is the Beatitudes, which is just gorgeous, incredibly gorgeous.
I've used it in my show once. I've tried to use it other times, and it's just too strong. It's so powerful emotionally, even though it in no way hits you over the head with emotional cues. There's something about the pulse and the repetition of it. It's an extraordinary song that's created with so few notes.
Exactly. It's like a prayer or a meditation, to reflect on a person or the people that we've lost. I think that's just a great use of it. So I'm really happy that those things are there.
We have known each other a long time.
Yeah.
And yet, I have never heard about your violin.
Ah, my violin. I really love my violin.
Does it have a name?
Well, I call it George. I call it George simply because the maker who made it was made by a maker named George Gamunder. People were saying, "Look for this guy. If you find one, it could be good." Where did you find it? I took the bus down to Chinatown. Went to his basement, opened the door, and there hanging were 3 Gamunders, and the one that I picked was maybe not the most beautiful, but I loved the sound of it. It was also very beautiful too. Also, through the years, the violin was played so much. It was recorded so much. It went through so many different kind of humidity cycles, and I think it opened it up. So, I always think that the violin, and I did too, we both improved over the years. And so it's very special to me.
For many of the pieces in this festival, you were recording separately. How did you pull that off?
A lot of people, during the pandemic, they've asked me the question, how are you doing, John? You're not playing concerts at night, you're not doing any of that. And I usually tell them, to be a musician, the most important attribute, I would say, curiosity. You have to be curious, and you have to have a sense of community. You want to be part of a community.
The curiosity is applied how? If you had said a sense of experimentation, or a sense of living in the moment, which discussed a little bit with Sunny, but curiosity, what is the avenue of that curiosity?
Well, if a person is curious, when you think about it, chances are great that they're not afraid. And that's a very important thing to be as a musician, is not to be afraid. Not to be afraid to make a mistake. A curious person is going to make a mistake. And a musician has to make mistakes because that's the only way they're going to get better. Taking risks.
I am told that you're the actor, the main performer of the group, or maybe you grab onto it with much vim and enthusiasm. And so I want you to talk about a particular piece in this festival. Do you know which one it is?
Definitely. One piece that I have to act in, and I would call it acting, is Nicole Liset's piece. And you know, there are scenes, Zonely Hearts. And there are scenes in that where sometimes I have to pick up a phone and I have to look that I'm astonished. What the hell is going on the other side of this phone? You know, it's a scary, something scary, obviously. And, you know, there's kind of TV shows it maybe makes references to several, but something scary. And so, you know, I had to act because I picked up the phone and sometimes I had to scream, sometimes I had to look like I'm just astonished. Sometimes I had to throw the phone down. I don't actually think of myself as a good actor. Maybe saying more about the other members of that group than me being a good actor.
Well, they're great screamers.
They're great screamers. They're fantastic screamers, and I was impressed with everybody else.
Is it fun?
It's fun.
Is it fun because it's like a different set of notes?
It's a different set of notes. You know, you have these images. Every single note presents an image, and you want to be part of that image. And because of that, your imagination has to run free. And I think that's what happens when you're acting. Definitely. When I'm throwing the phone down or when I'm screaming, I have an image. And also when notes are being thrown in front of my eyes and I'm following them, they're doing something inside of me to create an image.
That's interesting. It's like you take in information visually to produce an oral experience that's really intense. KRONOS itself, through the years, through the decades that I've been following your work and the work of the quartet and the selections that David makes and the experimentation with instruments and sets and lighting and short films in this festival, it's singular. I think it's unique. There are other people who dip their toe in that water, but who just like fearlessly dive off the diving board again and again and again and create this whole experience seems to be the province of this quartet. And do you love when that happens?
Oh yeah, I mean, I love the unexpected. And what a fortunate person that I am, that unexpected is coming into my life constantly.
Imagine a festival.
Well, I've been trying to imagine a festival for 15 months. First thing I had to think about was just keeping the spark alive. You know, when all of a sudden you don't have your instrument. And I've never thought of the violin as my instrument, at least not since I was a kid. It's with reluctance that I say I'm a violinist. I'm a quartet player and a string quartet player. And all of a sudden...
And that's your instrument?
That is my instrument, yeah. I don't think in terms of me, David, violin player, except when I'm trying to learn how to play something so that I can play with Sonny and Hank and John. 15 months ago or so, all of a sudden, no instrument. And I probably practiced less than almost any musician on the face of the earth in the last 15 months. I had no, you know, for me, practicing it's a big deal, it's a big job. And I mean, I love to try to learn to play better, but it's work. And I need a reason for doing it. And anyway, so there was that point where it's just not, there was no instrument. And we were having these Zoom meeting rehearsals. And for me, the big concern was, okay, I want the creativity of this group to expand, not be
Not contract.
contracted by outside circumstances.
But KRONOS is more than music. In fact, it's more than a quartet. It is countless collaborators, people who commission pieces, people who write them, people who perform them.
In the history of the string quartet and what it provides the world, it goes back to those kind of pivotal interior personal moments. Because what I want is to present work that is reaching into the heart of motivation. And so, for example, right before the shutdown, in fact, it was March 10th, I was in the home of Eiko Otaki, the wonderful dancer. And we were just making something together. I was watching her Fukushima film, and I was playing with that, and she was filming.
The accident at Fukushima.
Yeah, the nuclear disaster. She's gone there, I think, 6 times since, over the last 10 years. Mm-hmm. And for me, the fact that Eiko has chosen to do that, and basically she's putting her body on the line. It's still radioactive and will be for centuries there. And what she told me is, I've had my children, I'm in my late 60s, I need to make something that responds to the lies of the government. And I just thought, I love this. I love this. So that was March 10th, right? A couple days later, we were shut down. And so, one of the things that had to be a part of our festival was something with Eiko, because for me, even before this shutdown happened, she was doing something huge. And, when you find people that are doing things that are huge, you want to be a part of it. And for me, that's a good reason to do a festival, is celebrate people that are doing huge things, and maybe you can enlarge your own self and your friends and your family. And I've always wanted that our work and our music be responsive. And you think about
the most beautiful, the deepest, the purest, the most horrifying, the most cathartic, all of those things. Mm-hmm. You want to hit all of those notes at some point in this festival. Yeah. The most curious, maybe the funniest, whatever you can. It's not a funny time, but I mean,
it's not a funny time.
And
yet humor is so important, and you juxtapose one thing with another, and you just hit the right nerve, and something that's deeply serious can also be funny and empowering and give energy. I hope that our festival gives people something to work with, energy to deal with the next challenge.